222. We're going to talk borders today. And so let's see. Yay, Gloria says she likes theme weeks. Perfect. Borders on panels, Diane says. Interesting that you say that, because I actually have a panel that I'm going to show you a border on today. So today I decided my topic was going to be on scalloped borders. Kind of fun, right? So scalloped borders really are so cute, and a lot of people get a little worried about them. And so Roxanne says she can't wait to learn how to do scallop borders. She hasn't tried it because she's afraid she's going to mess up her quilt. Well, hopefully I have a really great tool for you today that's going to help with all of that. And I know that scallop borders can be kind of scary sometimes because we are afraid we're going to mess up the quilt. And sometimes it can involve like lots of math too, trying to get it just right. But the technique I'm going to share with you today, there is no math involved at all. So, I mean, that's pretty cool, right? So, there is, let me show you a few pictures first before we get into it, so you can see what I'm talking about when it comes to scalloped borders. So this is from, let's see, Quilt in a Day. They had this picture here. Do you see how pretty those scalloped borders look? I love it. So it's a very gentle curve. It's not too crazy. But boy, it gives a totally different look to a quilt. It kind of, I like to say it kind of dainties it up, if you know what I mean. It just kind of dainties it up. It just gives just more of a little bit more of a feminine feel to a quilt. This is a panel, and here's another one from Krista Moser. And I love both of these quilts and how she created these scalloped borders. And so that's what I'm going to be sharing with you today. And I hope you find it to be helpful. All right. So there is a brand new tool called the Scallop Ruler from Creative Grids. Carmen said she just got it and is hoping it will simplify. Yes, it will definitely simplify things for sure. Kathy Kitchen says it's more whimsical. Yeah, I would definitely agree with that. And it's kind of an interesting looking tool. When you look at it at first, you're just like, what in the world is that contraption, right? Look at that. I mean, this is kind of an awkward looking ruler. And but it's called this, they don't even really call it a ruler, they call it a template. So it's a scallop template. It was designed by Krista Moser. It's only been out for a few months, actually. And when I first came across it, I just thought, yeah, I don't know. Don't know if I that would be that interesting to me. And but now I'm totally hooked. I think it is really, really fun. It looks like a ghost, Pamela said. Yeah, it kind of does. Ooh. So, of course, you've got the Creative Grids. You know, what they're known for is the non-slip backs, which I love that. And there's several things to know about this template. First of all, you have this curve right here. And no matter what size border you do, this is going to be what your corner is going to be based off of. I'm going to show you how that works. And then you have 3 different like depths of borders. All right. So the first one, let's see, is the small, and it's all marked on here. So it's the small depth. And that would be for borders anywhere from 2 to 5 inches wide. Okay, 2 to 5 inches wide right here. Would be the small. And then you've got the medium, which is anywhere from like 4 to 7 inches or 4 to 8 inches, somewhere around there. And then you have the large, which goes up to a 12-inch border. So this one template will do all those sizes, anywhere from 2-inch borders up to 12-inch borders. Okay, so if that makes sense. So Roxanne, when she asked, does the ruler come in different sizes or do we only need one? You only need one. It can go up from 2 to 12-inch sizes. All right, so this is the template for it. And then what you need to do, it's kind of crazy how it works because it's not typical like a ruler. You actually are creating templates out of paper, right? And so the paper you cut to be 4.5 inches by 6 inches. So you cut squares. This is just copy paper. Now, when I first learned about this, I thought, I wonder if you could do it with freezer paper, because you know me, I love freezer paper. I love using freezer paper when it comes to doing any kind of template. And you could. The more I thought about it, the more I know that you could. But this is just as easy. And let me back up. The reason why I would want to use freezer paper is because I could iron it on and it would stay on, and then you peel it off. There's no sticky residue or anything left there. So that's why I love using that kind of paper to do templates. But for today, I'm just going to go ahead and use just regular, this is copy paper and nothing fancy. And we have to cut them out to be 4.5 by 6 inches. All of this is included in your instructions. So the first thing we need to do, now I'm going to back this up so I can pull my screen down. The first thing we have to do is we have to cut 4 of the corner spots, and that's this. Okay, that's this round part right here. So the 4 corners is what we lay down first. So I've already gone ahead and I've cut 2 of them, and I'm going to cut 2 more just to show you. Now I could do one of 2 things. I'm going to actually use my rotary cutter. I know some of you might be taking a gasp of air right now, seeing that I'm going to use a rotary cutter on paper, but it's all good. No one will be harmed, right? But if you didn't want to, you certainly could trace it with a marker, cut it with scissors. But I'm going to go ahead and do it with my ruler or my rotary cutter. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is cut this out, and I'm just lining kind of the top of my template up to the top of my paper. What it ends up doing is it ends up coming down on this line, and I just line it up so that the round part comes off to the sides. Okay, so I'll go ahead and cut that out. Oops. Yeah, there we go. Okay, there we go. All right, so I have 1, 2, 3, 4 of these created. Now what I'll do is I'm going to fold these corner pieces in half. So directly in half, just so that I have a center fold, a center line here. Do this one. And one more. Okay, I'm going to set those aside for a minute. I'll show you how we put them onto the quilt here in just a second. The next thing I'm going to do is I will cut out a bunch of the whatever curve I'm doing. And because my border, I should probably show you the quilt I'm doing. I'll show you the quilt in a minute. My quilt that I'm doing is a 5-inch border. All right, 5 inches. So I'm going to use the small curve on here, which is right here. All right, so with that being done, I'm just going to line this up, and I have the very tip top at the very tip top of my paper. So top and top, and you can see that I have a line here. Again, I could use this as my template. Just trace that. There we go. And I could cut it out, or I could use my rotary cutter. I'll go ahead and do it this way now so that you can see both ways. Because, I mean, Even if you don't cut directly on the line, it's totally okay. You've created the shape. Do you see that? It's a very gentle curve. All right, so you're going to cut out a bunch of these, and you only have to focus on one side of the quilt at a time. So you can reuse these, it doesn't matter. But the important thing is, and this is probably why I stayed away from doing the freezer paper, is because you want it to be available on both sides, that you can turn it this way or you can turn it that way, depending on where the hill and valley is. That'll make more sense here in just a minute. So let me do this upside down so that it's right side up for you. At the top here is your hill, and at the bottom is the valley. See how it just kind of slopes down? Hill, valley. All right, so I've already cut a bunch of those. So I have my hills and valleys, and then I have my corner pieces. All right. And then you want some straight pins. So I'm going to set this aside now, and let me show you the quilt that I'm working on today. Look how cute this is. This is a panel quilt of gnomes. Isn't that fun? So this is Gnomes for All Seasons is what it's called. So you have the January, the February, March. And again, it's just a panel. There we go. Kind of fun. And then what we did was we added an inner border, an inner stop border, and an outside border. So this is the one I'm just going to demonstrate on today. So the first thing that you do is you want to find where you put your corner pieces, your corner scallops, because we always start with the corner scallops first. Okay, always begin with the corner scallops first. Remember, we folded it in half, and then what we are going to do is we're going to also fold this in half at a 45-degree angle, just one on top of the other, so that it creates your 45-degree angle here. You see that? And I'm just going to give it a little finger press, open it up, and now I know where to line that up. All right, so let's pull this down and begin the process. Okay, so here we go. Here's the line. Here is the line of the fold, and I'm just placing it up against the edge of the quilt border. And all I have to do is place a pin right there to hold it in place. Now what I'm going to do is the same thing on the opposite corner. So I'll come over here and go the opposite way. I'll fold this in half. Okay. So that one is on top of the other, and it's creating a 45-degree angle. Finger press that, open it up. I now have the fold of that to match up with the fold of my scallop. And just place a pin, just like that. Okay, so with those both of those corners being done, let's see. Let me try and get this as best as possible. There we go. Okay, so you can see that I have both of the corners done. So the next thing I need to do is I am going to fill the rest of this in. So now I'm going to take my hills and valleys. So I want to start out with one side, and then I do the opposite side, and then I start bringing it all in together. Let me show you how that works. So with the hill, I need to match it up with the way this scallop goes around the corner. So I'm just going to kind of scooch it along here until it meets almost like a puzzle. And yes, there's overlap. I mean, that wouldn't make sense, right? There's going to be overlap because we want a smooth transition going from the hill down to the valley. So with that being done, it's a natural curve here. I'll go ahead and place a pin in there. Now, again, if you use freezer paper, you could do this on your ironing board, press it down with an iron, and then, you know, you wouldn't have to worry about pins, which is kind of nice. All right. Now, as I mentioned before, I have my corners. I'm going to start next coming in. So I've already done this side. Now I need to go to this side. But look, that doesn't work, right? That's because the hill needs to meet the hill instead of the hill going to the valley right away. So this is why I like just using regular paper, is because now I can flip it, right? So that it goes in the correct direction. And I'm going to come over here and again, kind of scooch this up until I see this natural curve coming down this way. And there we have it. Okay, so now we have a nice hill valley, nice hill of valley. Now, what we'll do is we need to fill in the rest. And this is why this is so cool, is because it doesn't involve any math. You are simply, you know, putting these based off of the paper templates like a puzzle. So I don't know right now offhand how many I'm going to end up using. So I will go ahead and pick out, I don't know, 4 or 5 of them, and let's start playing. Let's see what happens, right? So because I have a valley, what do I need to do next? I need to have a valley go up to a hill. So it's not going to be like that. It's going to be flipped over. So I can line it up just like that. See, right up against it. And then I have the hill that comes to another hill that comes to the valley like that. And then let's see, can I get in one more? I'm not sure. Let's check it out. Ooh, close, but not quite. Okay, I'm a little short. No problem, right? What I'm going to do, let's see. And the valley isn't going the right way. So I've got to kind of play with this. All right, we got this. So what I'm going to do is I can overlap by about 1 inch. Any more that you do is going to look a little ski-wampus, okay? So I have an opportunity to overlap by 1 inch, or I can even spread it out to about 1 inch. So let's play. Let's see what happens, okay? I'm going to go ahead and move this one over. Now these stay the same. Don't move those, okay? I'm just playing with the center pieces. Do you see how if I go over more than 1 inch, now it doesn't look good. It doesn't look as flowy. So I'm going to go to about 1 inch overlap. And whatever I do at a valley, I'm going to repeat and do the same as a hill. So I'm going to bring this over to the hill. Notice I'm not doing any pinning yet because I've got to kind of see where everything goes first. So I have a hill. Now I overlapped by about 1 inch. And now I'm going to go to a valley. So I flip this over. I'm going to go to about 1 inch. And I don't know. Let's see what happens. I'm going to go to 1 inch. Okay, that's not too bad, but I still don't like it. It's a little too much. This is going to be much more narrow. So I'm looking at this and I'm saying, you know what? Maybe it's not going to work to have that many in there. That's okay. No big deal. Okay. I'm just going to pull those off. And now let's see what happens if I just go out a little bit. Instead, I'm going to put a little gap in between. All right. So I'm going to try about 1/4 inch. Whatever I did at the valley, I'm going to do at the hill. And then there we go. No, that's not working either. All right. What is happening? Let me try this. It's going to work eventually. but it doesn't seem to want to work for me right now. Okay, no big deal. I'm not going to get hurt. I'm going to keep trying. I got this. All right. What's that?
I just want to watch.
You want to watch it? It's kind of fun, but you have to be patient with yourself.
That is cool.
Okay, I think what I needed to do was I just needed to go in a little bit more. And I've got it. I've got it. Here we go.
Eureka.
Eureka! I think I've got it. That doesn't look too bad, does it?
That looks great.
Does that look pretty good?
Yeah,
You've got a nice, even, as long as you are spacing these out at the same, space.
Wow.
Overlapping your hills, overlapping your valleys, you're going to be just fine. Okay. All right. So here we go. I'm going to just do that. And again, I'm just playing with these and I feel pretty good about it. If I was using freezer paper, I could just iron that into place, but I'm simply just going to take a pin and do this. What the idea is you're just going for nice flows. There we go. And now you have a great visual of what's happening. Okay. Someone is saying you could place a valley in the center and work from the center out. Well, you could, but at the same time, you need to know how far to make those, whether they're gaps or they're overlaps. Gaps or overlaps. And so I don't think if I started from the center and went on out that I would still get to the point where I'm at. But, you could give it a try and see if it worked for you. All right. But this is the way that they have designed this, was just to start at the ends, work in, and then you fill in the rest. So at this point, what you do is you just take like a water-soluble marker or something, and I'm just using this all along here to draw my lines. You do not want to cut this out at this time. Okay, again, don't cut this out at this time. You don't cut it out until the quilter is done quilting. But it is nice to still have it marked, because then what the quilter can do is they can quilt right up to it. If they go all the way to the edge, that's okay too. But this gives them a chance to, like if they were doing fancy things following the curvature of the scallop, they could do that. But they can't hold on to a scallop. They need to hold on to a straight line. All right. The scallop would be very difficult to hold on to. So you mark your quilts first, and then you turn it in to be quilted, or you quilt it yourself, obviously. Okay. So with those scallops now being marked, I feel pretty good about that. So I can keep the corners on because I need them to stay where they're at. So I can do the next one. And one more. Okay, so now you can see where the scallops are going, just right here. And then I'll turn this into the quilter. They'll do their magic. And then afterwards, I will cut it. I could either use scissors to cut it, or I could go back to my template that I had and again follow the curves as I cut, and use that as my guide to cut. Either way is fine. All right, so I've done one short side, and then what I would do is I would come to the other side, do the same thing, but then I would also come to my long edges. Again, this corner is already placed where it should be. And all I would do is, again, match this up, bring it up here, put a pin in there. Okay, see how it has the nice curve? Then I would do the same thing on the other side. I need to find my corner piece. The corner piece, remember, was folded in half. And my quilt was folded in half as well, so that I had a 45-degree angle. And then I match this up to the corner. Okay, and you're just having this bump just kind of come, or this hill, I should say, just touch the edge of your quilt. Okay, so I have that one. I'm now going to take my hill and valley piece. It's not going to look like this. I'm going to flip it over so that the hill comes into the next hill, and then pin that. Okay, with that being done, now I can start pulling out those pieces as well. So again, just like a puzzle, I would start playing. There we go. Hill and valley, hill and valley. And then I would just continue on with the rest of my pieces. I would move them a little bit closer, overlapping if I needed to, or I could spread them out a little further if I needed to. Again, making sure that whether you overlap or you have a gap, it is the same throughout. And then you've got the perfect lining for your scallop template, with your scallop template. And it's wonderful. And you can really do some fun, fun things using this method. And again, it shows just a different way, a very unique way of finishing off a quilt. And again, it can do anywhere from 2 to 12-inch borders. And that is it, my friends. So again, if you want to see the quilt that I've been working on, it's kind of fun. Again, it's just a panel quilt. We'll have to take pictures once it's all done with the scalloped edge, but I just think it's going to be super cute. All right, so that is that. All right. Oof. All right. Don't use air erase pens, Sable is saying. Yeah, this one is a water soluble, so we're good there. Yep, this is water erasable. So unless it got wet, it would be okay. Okay, how do you do the binding on the quilt? Well, you would have to do it on the bias. Okay, you'd have to do it on the bias, because when you cut on the bias, you get a lot more give to your fabric. And so it's going to go around curves so much easier than doing it on straight grain. So you don't want to do it, straight. You want to do it on the bias. And maybe I need to show that at an upcoming 3 at 3. So that I could show you how to do that. But you just cut it on the bias, and then you quilt it just like normal. And it's not too hard. Cheryl says it's hard to bind. Is it hard to bind a scalloped edge? It's not too bad, Cheryl. It's, again, if you do it on the bias, you're going to be just fine because it's going to hug those curves real nicely. And then you would sew it on just like you normally would, where, I personally would put it on the front and then go to the back and do it. I would hand stitch it. Now, Barb over here, she would not do that. Would you hand stitch that one? Okay. Barb agrees that she would definitely hand stitch if it was doing the scallop. So yeah, I can definitely show you how to do that. Hi, Tina. Oh my goodness. So fun to see you. Yeah, Sandra said bias binding and it flows. It's not difficult at all. It really isn't. It's not bad at all. And sometimes the word bias gets us, ooh, like that's a bad word, but it's not. It's actually, bias is our friend for sure. So, yay! Carmen says fun times ahead with scallops. Good, good, good. And Patricia said it's worth a try. Absolutely. Annette says probably better than the old plate method. The old plate method has definitely worked, Annette, for a lot of people. The problem I always seem to have with that was just knowing the right curvature and stuff. But if it's something that can work for you, then I think it's great. There's nothing wrong with doing it with the old plate method. The nice thing is that I know this gentle curve is perfect for anywhere from 2 to 5 inch borders. The medium one is anywhere from like 4 to 8 inches, and then the large curve is for up to 12 inches. So it just takes all that guesswork out of it. And you can use this as your cutting guide as well. And then, of course, you have the corners on there as well. Okay. Patricia says, I'm still uneasy about trying it, even though you make it look easy. Understandable, Patricia. And, scallop binding and borders might not be for everyone, but definitely it's worth a try. Don't let it hold you back. And of course, if I can help answer any other questions that might keep you held back on it, let me know, because I would love to help. That's an interesting thought, Pamela. She said, should you tape together for the other end of the quilt so both ends match the curves? That might not be such a bad idea. Actually, I think it's a really good idea. The reason why this is so nice too is because even if you were, well, I have to think about that, because sometimes in a perfect world, it would be the same on one side as it is the other side, right? But that's in a perfect world. Sometimes, have you ever measured a quilt and realized, ooh, it's a little bit bigger, it's a little bit longer on this edge than this edge? And so that's why when we add borders, it's so important to straighten them up. And I'm helping our youngins, they really like to call me, for Fridays, 3 at 3. I'm going to be teaching them this week how to properly add borders, so that you don't have the wave in your borders, so that your quilts hang straight. And so they're going to be teaching that to all of you on Friday. But that might be a reason why I would almost lean against not doing it that way, so that you can kind of make sure that it's, in case there's some changes, but it would be up to you for sure. But still not a bad idea. Definitely, Cordy asks, how about using clear blue tiles? Absolutely. You could absolutely use clear blue tiles, and then you just cut it afterwards. So remember that I said, don't cut these scallops until after it's been quilted. Let's say you get a quilt back from the quilter and you say, you know what? I want to try scallop binding or a scallop border. No problem. You can still do that. You absolutely can do that. You just want to make sure and do your binding right away afterwards, because, those threads are going to be cut on the ends. But you could absolutely do that. So you just want to make sure that when you quilt it, it does have a straight edge. It's too difficult to be able to hoop something or quilt something on a scallop. You want a straight edge first, then the scallop comes after. Okay. Michelle says, glad to see you struggling. It makes us feel better. It's one of those things that I hope what it allows for all of us to do is to say, you know what, there's no perfect scenario. They're all going to be a little bit different. And that's the beauty of using these templates, is because you can move it back and forth, again, overlap, or you can set them apart, or they might match edge to edge, either way. So it could work. Kathy asked, does the center have a hill or valley? Is it determined how the templates fit? Great question. I think it really determines on how the templates fit, Kathy. And so kind of like a puzzle. And you are just making sure you start at the ends, you start one end, and then you work your way towards it. So it could be a valley and it could be a hill. And that's okay. So all right. Oh, yes. Sandra, good idea. She has a rotary cutter specifically for paper, non-fabric only, just as she has specific scissors. Works out great. Yeah, it's an excellent idea. And Sharon loves to use freezer paper. It comes out perfect. Yeah, freezer paper is great. You know, I'm a big fan of freezer paper. All right. Any other questions that I can help answer? Yes, Kim said scallop border would be pretty on a table runner too. Definitely. Again, it's just that little bit of extra, So, she likes, yep. Sharon, your quilter is absolutely correct. She insists on the straight edge and she likes the scallops marked before she quilts it. Yep. Then the quilter knows exactly where the scallops are going to be. Now, if they're going straight into the scallop, you know, that's kind of a popular thing to do right now, is just do a straight edge right into the scallop. You know, not as important to know where that scallop is. I mean, it's good, you know, but it's not as important as if your quilter was doing like some fancy feathers or something around that would be important. So, okay. All righty. Yay, Marcia has a baby girl quilt she's going to make and going to try scallop borders. Awesome. Very good. I love hearing that. Thank you. Yes, Annette uses old rotary blades just to cut paper with. Another really good idea for sure. Then you're not as, scared about it, right? All right, guys. So that is theme number 2. I hope you learned something new and might want to give something new a try.